Yo, what's up guys, it's Aptrix here. Finally we have one of the biggest updates of the Eden Nintendo Switch emulator for Android, which is going to be its version 0.4 that was released yesterday on its official GitHub. Now Eden emulator is hands down the best Nintendo Switch emulator for Android devices and even for PCs, as it has lot of features. Now there is a huge changelog given by the Eden emulator team, but we'll just skip to the Android changelog so you guys can see stock Qualcomm driver compatibility has been improved, so the initial support also improves. Overall game supports on Snapdragon 8 Elite devices, compact grid view option, fixed occasional crashing and bugs issues. Individual button can be now scaled in the overlay. The overlay has an auto hide feature. Android versions as low as Android 7 are now supported. The biggest feature that I would have to say is the mouse and keyboard support. Oh my god, Nintendo Switch emulator being played using mouse and keyboard now. It's actually pretty cool. Per game configuration has been added. Along with that, playtime features from the desktop front end, added update checker, amiibo support, as well as ability to filter logs. In conclusion, there are also these changes where the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom latest updates are now working. Firmware 20 versions are also now supported, but it has some bugs. Graphical bugs have been reduced and performance has been increased. Some improvements for Pokemon Legends ZA flickering issues are present. Well guys, I have added the Eden emulator version 0.4 standard build, and if you get app not added issue while adding this app on your Android device, then you will need to remove the previous version of Eden emulator, which might be already available on your Android device. Anyways, let me import all the necessary stuff which is required to run Nintendo Switch emulator, such as firmware, etc., and I'll be back. Once you have also selected your game directory, tap on the continue button, and here we go, our Eden emulator has successfully started. There has also been some small changes in the UI, so the game icons are now presented a bit different. Basically, before we used to have a purple like a border around the games, now it's no longer present. I think this is definitely more clean. You also get other options such as compact grid, where you guys can see this is the brand new layout feature in the Eden emulator version 0.4, but if you switch to landscape, you guys will be able to see all your games like this. So I guess this is pretty cool, but let's start off by applying the best settings. Before that, we'll go to graphics driver manager and tap on fetch. If you have a Snapdragon processor, then go to Kimchi Turnip and add the latest 26.0 revision 2. It's best for providing you with better performance as well as less graphical issues. And if you have Snapdragon 8 Elite, go with the Qualcomm 849 graphics driver. So here I'll just go ahead and add it inside the emulator. Once that's done, it will be auto selected. Graphics driver provide you with better performance and compatibility, but they only work on Snapdragon processor Android devices. There is also multiplayer feature, and let's try out applet launchers Q launch feature, and here you guys can see, unfortunately in this update it's not working. Regardless, we also have a section known as app settings where we can modify the app's colors and theming, such as blur option. So here you guys can see in dark theme it looks something like this, where you have a very nice overlay in my opinion. Let's start by applying the best settings. In terms of system, make sure to turn off limit speed percentage. Everything else keep it as default. In graphics, accuracy level should be normal. Resolution scaling, set it to 0.5x resolution. And finally, even the 0.25x ultra extreme low resolution feature is now present in Eden emulator. This is very experimental, but it will provide you with very minimized graphics and best performance. But for today's video, I'll go with 0.75x. Do note that 0.25x resolution is experimental. We'll enable force maximum clocks asynchronous shaders. VSync mode, set it to mailbox right here. Aspect ratio will enable stretch to window, and that's about it in terms of graphics settings. Now we'll go to the Eden Swell option, where extended dynamic state should be disabled if you are trying to play games like Pokemon Legends ZA. Fast GPU time should also be disabled if you are facing graphical issue in Pokemon Legends ZA, but I'll keep it enabled as GPU overclock factor gets turned on because of this, which will maximize the performance. We'll also enable custom CPU ticks, and we'll set the CPU ticks around 47,000. As you guys can see the description of custom CPU ticks, higher values can increase performance. But if your games freeze, then turn off this option or decrease the CPU ticks. Once that's done, simply go back. You can also modify some of the settings such as device overlay as well as performance overlay if you want to get detailed stats about your device as well as the performance which you are getting while emulating any Nintendo Switch game. I have also enabled the show battery temperature option. With all of that out of the way, let's try out Pokemon Legends ZA inside the Eden emulator version 0.4, and nope, unfortunately it crashed. That's because it does not work on a Snapdragon 8 Elite Android device. The device which I have here is the S25 Ultra. Let's try out our next game, which is going to be The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Afterwards, we'll also try out Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2 Hollow Knight Silk Song. The game boot up speed inside the Eden emulator is super fast now. And here we go, our game begins. Just take a look at the graphics. I think with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 graphics driver, the performance should have improved by a little bit. Before, the graphics driver on Snapdragon 8 Elite were not that good, and you guys will be able to see we are playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at straight up 60 FPS, but the FPS varies obviously. This is not in the open world, so in open world you can expect about 40 FPS on Snapdragon 8 Elite and around 30 FPS on Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. But on 8 Elite it is almost unplayable because of all these graphical issues. It's just not worth it. Turnip driver support has finally started being worked on for Snapdragon 8 Elite devices, so that is something to look forward to in future. Let's move on towards our next game, which is going to be Hollow Knight Silk Song, a game that does not have any graphical issues and which actually works. Because it is a low-end game, low-end Pokemon games also work without graphical issues on 8 Elite, like Let's Go Pikachu, or even Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. It's just the new generation games like Pokemon Legends ZA etc. which have trouble. Here we go guys, finally after skipping all the cutscenes, our game has started and we are getting about 300 FPS in Hollow Knight Silk Song, though this cutscene is running at 60 FPS. So here we go, once we grab our sword, we'll be able to start playing this game, and you will be able to see that even though it is saying 300 Mbps, the game doesn't feel like it's running so smooth. I think it's around 120 FPS, which is the refresh rate of my device display, or it might even be 60 FPS, but there is no way that this game is running at 190 or 200 FPS. The final game that we'll be trying out is going to be Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2, and this game unfortunately has lot of graphical issues on 8 Elite. Sometimes when I'm testing these games on my Android device, I actually regret it. I just wish I had my iQOO 13 or whatever iQOO device I had before. I don't even remember its name. There are so many devices nowadays, but I guess it was iQOO 13 with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. I miss it quite a lot. Or is it iQOO 12? Do let me know in the comment section down below. But here we go, looks like our game has successfully started. Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2. So as I was saying, I regret not having my Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 Android device, because trust me guys, there are so many games that I want to test out, like God of War Ragnarok, even Ghost of Tsushima on my Android device. None of them actually work on Snapdragon 8 Elite because of the lack of turnip driver support, and you guys can see same is the case with Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles. Oh my god, I am actually surprised now the graphics have started being rendered in Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles, which did not happen previously. I am shocked beyond belief myself, because as far as I know, this game should not be playable on Snapdragon 8 Elite. I have tried it out multiple times. I think this is because of the latest update of Eden emulator and the latest graphics driver which I am using, because the graphics would never get rendered, but now it is being rendered and I am very excited because of it. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification, and I guess having Snapdragon 8 Elite device is not that bad after all.